are ways to get around this. It is the most important position on the team. And you might not know this year if Shedeur and Dillon are going to be something down the road. So those guys aren't going anywhere. They're keeping Dillon and Shedeur. Those guys are going to make the football team. So you can pretty much take that to the bank. And then it's just a matter of trying to figure out what you would want to do with Joe and Kenny. And I think both of them will play this year.
That's Mary Kay Cabot on Basket of Phelps yesterday. She'll join us tomorrow, 8:20 this morning, saying to take it to the bank that it's going to be Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders both making the team, which I got to tell you, I've listened to some national pundits here. I know it's a time of year where people have to start trying to change what they've seen so far, what they've heard so far. But I still hear some national pundits out there going like, well, he's got to make the team first. And I'm like, man, you guys got to get boots on the ground. He's making the team. Like that's happening. He's going to be on the 53. I think the question is now, are they going to have 4 quarterbacks on this roster? Should they carry 4? Would they carry 4? Is that a stupid or smart thing to do? Or, okay, can you trade either one of the 2 older ones? Kenny Pickett's not that old, but can you trade either one of those guys? Or would you just cut them and move on? I think that's more of the conversation that's going to happen. Like right now, I think it's more important. I heard Aubrey Breer yesterday, and we're going to play some audio from Aubrey Breer yesterday as well on Afternoon Drive. Let me tell you this. I think that with the 2 older guys, with Kenny and Joe, I think that's more for the veterans. That's more for the fans. I don't know about Kenny, but definitely Joe. The most important thing is to get Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders good with the nomenclature, good with the rest of the team. I don't think that when it comes to the fans, this is why I think that if you are looking at the stuff on the internet and seeing Shedeur Sanders was 7 for 9 and we're using this in any serious thing, I think that's really dumb. I just think it's dumb. It was just past OTAs. It's mandatory minicamp. Completions and things like that. Like, yeah, you want a guy to throw a good ball and you want the guy on the receiving end to catch the ball, but you want guys to run the right routes. You want the guy to call the right play. We're not in a position right now. And frankly, like they take it seriously because they want to put their work in. The intensity doesn't get turned up until training camp. Yeah, I heard Nick and Jonathan. I'm not trying to rip on them, but there was a part a couple days ago where they said, well, I think with vets, it's more boom or bust with the rookies. I don't think they see it that way. I think they all come in with, what are you doing every single day to conduct yourself as a professional? What do you know as far as the nomenclature? What do you know as far as the football? Yeah. And these are things that, again, when we're looking at 6 for 9 in 11 on 11s, you don't know anything. It's just playing pitch and catch.
Didn't they used to say Brett Favre was terrible at all this stuff?
Yes.
Yes. Imagine if there was a tracker and it was right now in his rookie year, what people would be saying about, what was he in Atlanta when he started out? What would they be saying, right?
So we want to speculate. And we can speculate all we want. I mean, I talked to some people yesterday who the veterans are really not in town right now. They're getting their final days in. 4th of July is coming up. Be careful out there, boys. And they're getting their final days in before it's time to go to camp and get nuts. Yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. And the guys in the locker room, the guys on the offensive line, if you really want the skinny on it, forget about passing and catching in yards. They are impressed with what Dillon Gabriel knows. They are impressed with the work ethic Shedeur Sanders has with what he wants to know. You can tell that he might be a little bit behind, and I think I have a theory behind that, and it's a personal theory. They could tell he started a little bit behind, but he's picking it up. They also know that it's June. And when the heat turns on and when you're actually in those other practices where you have another team going after you in the joint practices, that's when you're going to start to find out because things will shrink because guys won't be as open because they're competing for jobs. So now you're really going to have to call the right play at the right time, develop the rapport as best you can with those around you and try to deliver the ball and try to move the offense, quote unquote, down the field, but execute the play the way you want in the drill of how you can do it. Like that's where it matters. But if you really want the inside stuff on any of it, I'll tell you, they're very impressed with Dillon Gabriel and what he knows, and they're very impressed with Shedeur Sanders and how he wants to know it, his willing to work in. They knew that he was a little bit behind to start off, and he's picking it up pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, that's what Albert Breer said yesterday, right?
Yes.
So I'm listening to that, and thinking to myself, like, man, the bar right now, it's so fascinating to hear people like compare and contrast all these guys because the bar is so low. Like I imagine 98% of quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm not talking starters. I'm not talking good. I'm saying 98% of quarterbacks can go out in either rookie minicamp
Play
or
pitch and catch,
and
guys.
do that
Yeah,
and do exactly what we're seeing. Like, holy cow, I'd be alarmed if stuff wasn't working for these guys right now. I'd be like, what a joke. But the reality is, like, most likely of Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, and Dillon Gabriel, most likely the odds are that none of these guys are actually going to have 7-year NFL careers as starting quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely, that's if you're a 5th-round pick, odds are way against you. If you're a 3rd-round pick, the odds are you're a backup for your career if you can even hang on. That's why, like, stories like Brian Hoyer, undrafted, decade plus in the NFL, the money he made, that is the anomaly. So Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel are anomaly candidates. Like, you have to hope everything goes right for them to have realistic NFL careers, and with the Browns, to be starters with the Browns, especially considering what they have next year. So I'm coming into this with very low expectations. It's good that I'm hearing people seem confident in them, but this is what they have. Like, I mean, imagine a world where an NFL team would talk badly about and the people around the facility would talk badly about the guys when this is what they have. This is it.
Now, I told you what I know. I'll speculate here in just a moment after we play this Auburn-Burr, because I want you guys to hear this on why there might be a lack of first-team reps for Shedeur Sanders.
I think it's because he had a bigger learning curve than Dillon Gabriel. That's the reality of it. I mean, Dillon Gabriel started how many games in college? Dillon Gabriel crushed his pre-draft process. Like, now that doesn't mean there wasn't stuff for him to learn along the way, but I wrote this back in March and April that there were teams that were like sort of stunned by how little Shedeur knew, relative to what they thought, him being the son of Dillon and having played for Pat Shurmur in college, so I think Shedeur, and maybe this isn't any fault of his own, but I think Shedeur had a lot more ground to cover than Dillon Gabriel did. And so because of that, like, it's harder to put him out there with the first team. Again, like, you have to be able to answer to your players in these sorts of things. That's the way I look at it, at least.
Let me speculate just a moment here off of what Auburn-Burr just said with the guys in the afternoon, which was a great interview. Brilliant stuff from, and I mean that sincerely. Auburn-Burr was excellent yesterday. Listen to more of that, 923thefan.com. That's why you have to have the free Odyssey app, folks, wherever you're at. Timbuktu to Portland, Maine. It's absolutely free. Get the Odyssey app right now. Dillon Gabriel was in 3 different offenses. I don't know if there's 3 totally different offenses, but with 3 different programs. Okay? 3 different head coaches. Oklahoma, UCF, Oregon. If you're going to go and excel at those levels, buddy, you better know some football. You better know it. Shedeur has been with 2. And this is where, and don't get mad. You're going to get sensitive. Not you. Everybody else is going to get sensitive. Dillon, I do believe, is tough on his children. I do believe that Dillon is tough on Shedeur and demanding of his son. But he's also going to put his son in the best position possible, is he not? And if it's still the same offense and it's still the same types of things of what you're doing and you're not really getting out of any other offenses and being able to expand that horizon, well, you have to do it in the NFL because the defenses are more complicated. The athletes are better. They're going to throw things at you that you may never have seen at Jackson State or Colorado. Those are great football teams that you're playing against at Colorado. It's still a pretty good conference. It's not the Big Ten or SEC, but it's still a pretty good conference. But you're going to get some stuff that you ain't never seen in the NFL with players that you have never seen in college football. And so he starts a little bit behind the 8 ball there. It's not the overall reason he fell to the 5th round, for crying out loud. That, we all have our different theories about that, and who knows. And we're going to have to get to a point at some point where who cares? But I speculate. Is he behind because he didn't want to know, or is it behind because, hey, we got to hit the ground running and we have to go with the simplest offense? And I'm your head coach. I was your head coach at Jackson State. I was your offensive coordinator in high school. I was your head coach at Jackson State, and I'm your head coach in Colorado. We got to get this thing going here because we got to turn around programs. We got to turn around the HBCU program, and we got to turn around the worst college football program in all of P4. Like, that's maybe speculative, and maybe that's not the truth. Maybe Shedeur just couldn't pick it up. We'll find out. We will find out soon enough. But if I'm hearing that his work ethic is there and he's picking it up quickly enough, then I'm starting to think maybe he was incubated a little bit. Because if Shedeur's naturally better than a lot of the guys he's going to play against, then, yeah, you're going to win more games than you lose. And they were able to do that in year 2 everywhere they went. He was able to do it. I mean, to go from 1-11 the year before they got there to 9-4 in a bowl game, that's a big turnaround. There has to be credit that's given to that. And part of that is taking care of the offense, taking care of the wins and losses with what you can do as a quarterback. And your father's the head coach of the football team. Now, I'm just trying to connect dots on that.